Chapter 1903, Where There Is No Light. No. Zhang Yi used his smart device to simulate the fluent Keiji language, answered the flower girl coldly, and then walked past her indifferently. The flower girl's eyes were full of despair. She hadn't eaten for 2 days. Originally, she didn't have to do this kind of thing. Her brother could still go to work on the farm, and she also helped sew clothes on the farm, which was enough for the two of them to live. But a few days ago, her brother fell ill. Residents of the outer city have no savings. No matter how hard they work, they can only afford to eat enough and wear warm clothes. So a disease can directly destroy a family. Eventually, she had to let go of all her shame and sell flowers just to make a living for herself and her brother. But she is not beautiful. No matter how pretty a girl is, she will look ugly if she is tortured by the cold wind like a knife day after day. No matter how pretty a girl is, she will become skinny if she does not have enough food to eat and cannot supplement protein. No one looked at her more than once. Zhang Yi's departure made her squat in despair, covering her face and crying. But suddenly, she felt something blocking her waist. The girl was a little surprised. She reached into her pocket and felt the familiar touch. It turned out to be a bag of food. She was so excited that she thought it was just her illusion. Only after she confirmed that there was no problem did she turn around to see who had left the food for her. But it was too dark, and there were so many people around that I couldn't find the person I had just seen. The night was quiet, and all Zhang Yi saw in the outer city were the flower girls and the men buying flowers. Most of these people are from Midtown. Although they don't earn a lot of money, they still have a surplus after maintaining their daily lives. After all, who would refuse? Just spending a little rice can get you a night of pleasure. They can enjoy very low-cost services, all relying on the extremely cheap personal value of the grassroots people. As for the people in the inner city, they would never come to such a place. At night, everyone in the outer city went to bed early except for the flower sellers. The power supply in the outer city was cut off after midnight, making it impossible to engage in any recreational activities. In addition, it was freezing cold and they were hungry, so most of the time they did not do any extra exercise except to maintain their basic daily needs. Zhang Yi measured the entire city of Pilasang with his own eyes. He needed to take complete control of this place to facilitate subsequent action plans. During the battle with King Arthur, he said that geography is important. If a conflict breaks out, any small detail can be fatal. There is nothing interesting in the outer city, and there are no tall buildings, just some bungalows. There were tall buildings, but they had all been torn down. Zhang Yi asked Xian Haixio in confusion. At this time, with the construction level of Keiji country, it should be difficult to build houses on a large scale. Why do you want to destroy so many high-rise buildings? Hearing this, Xian Haixio said to Zhang Yi, "Turn around and look at the center of Keiji country." Zhang Yi turned around as expected. He was standing in darkness, but when he turned around, he saw light. The entire city of Pilasang presents a very regular gradient of colors. From the outer city to the inner city, it becomes brighter and brighter. The brightest place, which illuminates the entire city like the sun even in the dark night, is a huge statue that is worth seeing in every corner. On top of the huge stone tablet that is more than 1 meter tall, stands a golden sun. Could that be? Xian Haixio said, "Yes, that statue is the symbol of Commander Shan's eternal sun. In the entire city, no building can be higher than the commander's residence, let alone block the path of the eternal sun shining its light on the entire city." So, all the high-rise buildings were demolished. Zhang Yi was silent. Although he is a guy who can sacrifice others for the benefit of himself and his companions. But I don't like this kind of formalism. Even the slogan of the Fuying Force was only to facilitate brainwashing these subordinates so that they would not betray themselves. Zhang Yi flew quickly across the dark sky in silence. Zhang Yi, who is at the bishop level, is already among the best in the world in terms of spatial attributes. No one can detect his existence, let alone feel his spatial fluctuations. In this way, he circled the outer city of Pilasang. Flower girls were everywhere, and the outer city was deathly silent at night, with only the sound of sobbing coming from some dilapidated houses. Their families live just across the wall, silently enduring this powerlessness, or perhaps they have already become numb and accustomed to it. After viewing the outer city, Zhang Yi headed towards the inner city. The standard of living here is obviously much better, but it is not too affluent. People here basically have enough to eat, but many of them look thin. That's because enough nutrition cannot be supplemented for a long time. When you enter the inner city, it's a completely different world. Neon lights were lit wantonly, without worrying about wasting electricity, and the streets were full of colorful lights. The luxury cars that were rarely seen on the streets during the day were now scrambling to gather in front of the doors of hotels and nightclubs. Zhang Yi quietly appeared in a hotel and observed the lives of the upper-class people here. He looked inside the hotel and found an enormous theater. That stage alone can accommodate several people performing at the same time. The seating area on the opposite side is even larger, with well-dressed people sitting behind tables, accompanied by one or more gorgeously dressed beauties. The lights came on the stage, and the band in suits at the back immediately began to play. Soon after, beautiful girls in performance costumes filed out from the backstage on both sides. They are all young, between 19 and 20, with few over 30. They were beautiful, wearing revealing clothes that revealed their dazzling white thighs and slender arms. They all wear a number tag with Arabic numerals on it. They danced to the music, bringing joy to the faces of the bigwigs on the other side. They pointed at the stage, and naturally the service staff around them helped to remember the girls' numbers. Zhang Yi couldn't help but gasp. It's not like I haven't seen the world before. But even in Blizzard City, the headquarters of the Jiangnan region in my previous life, I have never seen such a scene. The most spectacular scene was when he took Fatty Sue to challenge the Undertaker. There were only about 100 girls gathered in the Blizzard City Club that time. As for Zhuzheng, if you dare to spend so much energy to build an extremely luxurious entertainment venue, not to mention that the lower-class people will have complaints, even among the high-level officials of Blizzard City, there will be many opinions that you do not have the ability to govern Blizzard City. After all, for a civilized country, people will pay attention to doing things decently. How could it be like the country of Keiji, where they were too lazy to even act out, and it was obvious that they were having a feast and a night of debauchery just a few dozen kilometers away from the outer city? The people in the outer city are all flower girls who sell their bodies to survive. The people here spend money like water. A casual night's consumption is equivalent to a family's annual food rations in the outer city. Zhang Yi sighed. It is hard to imagine that this will happen in the middle of the 21st century. Even if Zhu Zheng wanted to enjoy life, he did it secretly behind her back. However, such a club is openly opened in the central area of Pleasant City. All those who come here are dignitaries from Pilasang City. But thinking back to the extravagant dinner hosted by Commander Sion, everything made sense. If the superior likes something, the subordinates will like it even more, and everyone will imitate the behavior of the superior. Xian Haixio explained to Zhang Yi. The girls on the stage are actually flower girls. They are carefully selected from the outer city. Only the most beautiful flower girls can go on this stage, because this is their only chance to achieve class advancement. Once they are noticed by a big shot, their whole family will move into Midtown. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows and said calmly, I have some basic understanding of this place. He had no plan of action, but just wanted to observe the city as an observer and make plans for his future actions. I heard the conversation of several pot-bellied senior officials. The men hugged the young girls left and right, enjoying their services and talking loudly. We do this for the people of Keiji. If we don't consume, we will have trouble surviving. That's right, so we're doing good things. We should be rewarded. Haha. As long as the commander's glory continues to shine on Keiji country, we can continue to live like this. We and our descendants can all enjoy this blessing. Zhang Yi heard Zhou Kur's somewhat resentful voice. After rebirth, it is understandable to enjoy the quality of life. But such extravagance and waste, occupying a large amount of capital that ordinary people rely on, is evil. Even Zhang Yi, who never claimed to be a good person, began to build a happy home after ensuring the safety and sufficient food around him, providing shelter for many people in Tianhai City. Today's Tianhai City has a population of more than 80,000. To be frank, every one of us has enough food and warm clothes, and no one is hungry or thin. Thanks to Liu Qian's technology, people don't even need to work hard on generators or do menial labor every day like they did at the beginning of the world. The people of Huaxi State were taught from childhood that if they were poor, they should take care of themselves, and if they were rich, they should help the world. Faced with such a scene, it is indeed hard to bear. Every country has its own situation. We are not saviors. Let's complete our own tasks first, Zhang Yi said in a low voice. You can give a flower girl a few grains of food, but KG country has more than 20 million. How can you help? Fortunately, Zhang Yi is not a person who dwells on trivial matters, and he soon stopped thinking about this problem. After one night, I returned to my own residence. The woman who was sent to the hospital was lying in the bedroom, immersed in Yang Xinxin's skills. Zhang Yi asked everyone to rest first and take turns on duty at night to avoid any accidents. Of course, I won't sleep with that black woman. However, in order to avoid leaving any evidence, he wrapped her in a quilt and took her to another room, where he lay down on the bed and fell asleep. On the contrary, before she gets Yang Xinxin's order, she will be like being hypnotized and will always be trapped in the illusion woven by Yang Xinxin for her, so there is no need to care about her at all. After resting for about 6 hours, Zhang Yi woke up. After waking up, I came to the living room and took clean water from the other space to wash up. Unexpectedly, Liu Karen and Yang Xinxin did not rest at all, but were discussing something in the living room. Zhang Yi subconsciously glanced at the window. If there were lights here late at night, it would be discovered by outsiders. Liu Kuoran said proudly, "Don't worry, brother. The whole house looks like an illusion from the outside. Kuoran will not make such a low-level mistake." Zhang Yi walked over and asked with concern, "But you look like you have been up all night. This is not good for your health." Liu Karen made a face at Zhang Yi. "Brother, we'll be in Muyan's shadow during the day, so we'll have enough time to sleep then. While you're resting, we'll sort out the information we got yesterday." As Liu Karen spoke, he spread his hands and projected several display screens in front of him. Zhang Yi held his chin with one hand and watched carefully. Liu Qian explained carefully to Zhang Yi. "We obtain this information by analyzing the entire cyber intelligence system of KG country. The overall level of aliens in KG is not high. Although there are more than 20 million people, the number of registered aliens does not exceed 2,000, and most of them are low-level aliens." Zhang Yi said calmly, "There's nothing strange about this. The number of deaths is too small, and the spiritual essence cannot be separated from the flesh and is absorbed by the body. Naturally, the number of aliens born is reduced." But Liu Karen's tone immediately became serious. Something strange happened. Zhang Yi looked at Liu Karen curiously, waiting for her next words. Liu Karen waved his hand, and a screen was pushed in front of Zhang Yi. Although the overall level of the aliens is very poor, there are 6 Epsilon-level aliens among them. This is very surprising. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes and looked at the information on the screen. The most powerful person in Cage Country is Commander Ken Shan. It's strange that he is already the king of a country, but he still likes to be called the commander. It seems to be because he is the leader of the rebel army. Zhang Yi waved his hand and said, "It's understandable. It's just like the great devil of Prussia, who also liked to wear the Iron Cross medal on his chest. Because in their eyes, it is the honor they are most proud of." Liu Karen continued, "All of Ken Shan's data is not available in the entire KG country's network system. Well, although there is a lot of information, according to analysis, 99.99% of it is fictitious. For example, the heroic deeds of the great commander-in-chief of KG, who was bestowed with divine power by heaven, and how he used a small stone to penetrate 100 ice chariots of the hateful Roman Empire's heavy armored legion. I ignored this information, which looked like bragging about creating a god." Zhang Yi nodded. Ken Shan is not stupid. He understands the importance of intelligence to dissidents. So, he would rather delete all the details and intelligence of his battles from the official system of KG. Through the window, you can clearly see the monument of Eternal Sun standing in the central square of Pilasang City. Even refused to erect a statue of his own image, which shows how cautious is. Zhang Yi frowned, his eyes sharp. This is a tough guy to deal with. We must find the spear of Longinus as soon as possible, otherwise it will only be a matter of time before we are discovered. After saying that, Zhang Yi turned around and looked at Lu Karen. What about the remaining 0.01%? Is it valuable? Lu Karen said. Yes, there are. For example, it records the places of and the beautified version of S growth experience. Yang Xinxin raised her head and looked at Zhang Yi. Brother, this is very important information. Perhaps we can use this to find the location of the spear of Longinus. Zhang Yi thought about it and felt that it made a lot of sense. I am also very curious about what the spear of Longinus is. We must first clarify this point to facilitate the next action. Where is your hometown? Lu Karen said. S hometown is not far from Pilasang City, only 135 kilometers away. Is in the northwest in a place called Ulu District. Zhang Yi leaned on the sofa with his arms folded. We have to go there and investigate. But before that, we must first find out the rules of Commander Shaun's banquets. What if I leave this place rashly and Cui Zhe and his gang come looking for me? Wouldn't I be exposed? As for acting separately, that is even more impossible. The transportation here is terrible. Even the buses are the same type that were eliminated by Huaxu State half a century ago. Without the ability to use space to get through, if he did something else, he would be discovered something was wrong halfway through. The risk is too great to be sent over to do this. It still has to be done by Zhang Yi himself. Brother, there is information about Cage's Ypsilon-class combat power at the back. Do you want to take a look? Lu Karen's voice interrupted Zhang Yi's thoughts. Zhang Yi raised his head and said, Well, tell me. Ken Shan rose from the ranks of the army, his military rank being the first 6-star general in the history of Keiji, or even the world, a commander-in-chief with divine power bestowed by heaven, a marshal with eternal glory, and the son of the people that never sets. Zhang Yi felt a headache after listening to this. Wait, 6-star general. Is it a marshal? What a mess. Lu Karen covered his mouth and laughed. Who knows, maybe he thinks it's more powerful to shout like this. The military system in Africa is originally quite chaotic. Ken Shan, who lives in this place, has little education. As for his claim that he did business in eastern Guangdong of Huaxu country, he is probably just an illegal immigrant who resells goods. Zhang Yi had doubted this when he and first met. Eat high-end meals and drink expensive foreign wine, but the way he eats is not elegant at all. Especially when drinking Toma Martin cognac, it's like a cow drinking water. Zhang Yi felt a little more at ease. My academic qualifications are higher than his, which means I am smarter than Commander Saiyan, huh? Zhang Yi thought with a little pride. Then, Lu Karen introduced to Zhang Yi several of Ken Shan's trusted men. First of all, because Commander Ken Shan had served as a major general when he was in the army, there was no general rank other than that in the entire Cage country. The highest rank is colonel. Therefore, these are all school-level officers. The first one we have all seen him. He is Cui Zhe, the captain of Commander Shan's personal guard. He is the most trusted confidant of Commander Shan and the one closest to him. Under them are 3 colonels in charge of the military. These 3 are brothers, the eldest brother Park Gukchang, the second brother Park Gukki, and the third brother Park Chongfan. As Zhang Yi listened, he felt something was wrong. After thinking for a moment, he gave a thumbs up. The parents of these 3 brothers are all geniuses. Lu Karen continued, the first one is Jean Meiji, the deputy mayor of Pilasang City, responsible for managing all administrative affairs of Pilasang City. Zhang Yi asked in surprise, why is she only the deputy mayor? Is there anyone above her? Lu Karen shook his head. According to intelligence, the real power holders in KG's administrative agencies are the deputy officials. The top officials are selected from local elders with high prestige. Zhang Yi rubbed his chin and said, what a weird rule. So, What are their abilities? Luke Keenan scratched his head and smiled playfully embarrassedly. Hey, there's no record either. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. Although KG was a poor and backward country, its rulers were not fools. In order to prevent top combat forces from being targeted, this information was not uploaded to the internet. However, according to the exchanges between you and the Holy See, the strength of the officers at the prestigious school level is far behind Commander Shan. The best will not exceed the Black Chariot. Liu Karen analyzed. Based on the structure of KG country, Commander Shan will not allow the existence of anything that can threaten his rule in order to ensure the power he has obtained through force. After listening to what Liu Karen said, Zhang Yi said calmly, "We basically have a clear idea of the distribution of military forces in this country." This time, without waiting for Yang Xinxin to speak, Zhang Yi analyzed the situation with his intelligence and experience. This country uses totalitarian rule to gain the power of faith from the lower classes. This power is concentrated at the top. The whole country is in the form of a pyramid, with the upper class plundering the lower class. Not only food and supplies, but even their faith and power. No one can escape the rules of this pyramid. The ultimate beneficiary, the creature at the top of the food chain, is Commander Kenshan. This is truly a country of its own. Zhang Yi sighed sincerely. Brother, the map of the commander's residence only has the ground part. These are all the information on the surface, but there is no information about the basement. Liu Karen said, "The power of faith has been explained to us by the master of the underworld before. As long as the most devout believers make a wish in their hearts and concentrate a large amount of weak power on one person, it will produce a powerful effect. So killing one person is equivalent to killing the power of 10,000 people." A hint of thought flashed in her eyes. Perhaps this represents the status quo of the future. In wars between races, the winners are determined by the top mutants who concentrate all the resources of the race. If the top mutants are defeated, the entire race will be destroyed. If 10,000 people survive, one person cannot escape. In fact, if one person dies, 10,000 people will not have a good ending. Dear viewers, thanks for staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.